Welcome. In this video we are going to talk about factoring by expansion and grouping, otherwise known as simply factor by grouping. In this form of factoring, we want to make sure that the leading coefficient, or the A value, is not 1. If it's 1, there's a more efficient way to factor. In this example, we have 8x squared plus 10x plus 3. There's no GCF or common factor, and the polynomial is in standard form. The first thing we want to do is find the product of the leading coefficient and the constant. We're going to take, in this situation, the 8 times the 3, and when we do this, we get 24. We will then ask ourselves, what two numbers multiply to give us 24 and add to give us 10? Those two numbers are positive 6 and positive 4. So we separate the middle term into the sum whose product is the same as the answer from the first step. Again, what two numbers multiply to give us 24 and add to give us 10? Then when we separate that middle term, it becomes 6x and 4x. The 8x squared and the 3 copy down. Now we have a polynomial of 4 terms. We want to group the first two terms together and the last two terms together. We take the positive with the 4x in between. Then we use monomial factorization even if the factor is just a factor of 1. In the first two, between 8x squared and 6x, they have a 2x in common. When we take that 2x and divide it from the 8x squared, we get 4x, and when we divide the 2x from the 6, we get the 3. We do the same thing for the last two terms. Even if it's just a positive 1, we write that down, and we have left over 4x plus 3. Then again, we're splitting this between the two terms, and the terms are separated with the plus sign, and between these two, the 4x plus 3 is common. So we bring that down and write it just once. Then the 2x plus 1 comes down, and the plus 1 comes down, and so our final answer is 2x plus 1 times the quantity 4x plus 3. If you wanted to check this, you could always multiply it or FOIL it and make sure you get the original trinomial up here at the top. Here are two other examples. At this point, you want to pause and practice these two examples. When you're done, go ahead and start the video again and find the solutions. Welcome back. So at this time you've worked through these two examples, and we're going to go ahead and work through these two examples in the video. So you have the first trinomial, which again we first checked for a GCF, and there is no greatest common factor. So we go ahead and multiply the 3 times the negative 14, and that product is negative 42. We ask ourselves what two numbers multiply to give us negative 42 and add to get us 19. The two numbers are 21 and 2, but in order to make it a negative 42, this has to be a minus 2 and a positive 21. So we bring down to the 3x squared. We write this as a 21x, a minus 2x, and a minus 14. At this time, we go ahead and separate the first two terms from the last two terms, and the minus goes with the 2x. And we factor out what we can between these two. The common factor, or GCF, is 3x, and we have left over x plus 7. Inside these parentheses with this binomial, we like it to be a leading coefficient of 1. So here, there's a 2 common, but we want to get this negative as well. So we're going to take out a negative 2 between these two terms. When we take out the negative 2, we're left with a positive x, and this becomes a positive 7. Therefore, these two match. We bring them down, we get x plus 7, and what's left over, the 3x minus 2, we write as our other linear binomial. So when we factor 3x squared plus 19x minus 14, we get this product of two linear binomials. In example 3, the very first step is to make sure we're in standard form. Standard form is with the highest degree first, so we should write it as 10x squared minus 17x plus 3. Now that it's in standard form, we check for a GCF. There is none, so we can multiply 10 times 3, and we get 30. We ask ourselves what multiplies to give us 30 and adds to give us negative 17. The two numbers are negative 15 and negative 2. So we rewrite this as a polynomial of 4 terms, 10x squared minus 15x minus 2x plus 3. We break up the first two and the last two, take out the GCF, which is 5x. We have left over 2x minus 3. In this case, we need to take the negative 1. So we get minus 1. When we take the negative 1 away from negative 2x, we're left with a positive 2x. And now we're going to take a negative 1 from the 3, so we'll have minus 3. This way, the 2x minus 3 match. We write that once. And then what's left over, the 5x minus 1, we write as our other binomial. Therefore, this polynomial expression factored ends up being the quantity 5x minus 1 times the quantity 2x minus 3. This ends our video on factor by grouping.